I am, again, Melanie Snare, and I'm going to be your host for the remainder of the evening. I am with Comcast, and of course, am being joined by Vincent and Shay. So let's give them a round of applause again for the first 2 episodes. So, an interesting tidbit, you guys probably would think that these guys have seen most of the first season, but actually it was your first time seeing it tonight too for episode 2, correct?
That's right.
So what did you guys think?
Well, it was great to see it up there. We had worked on it almost a year ago, and the experience of working with Martin Scorsese on the first episode, and then to work with Tim Van Patten on the second episode, it was very different experiences, but both very positive, and it was great to see the product was so similar. It was wonderful.
Great. How do you feel like there was the differences between the two and working with them?
Well, I think I can't speak for everyone, but to work with Martin Scorsese, who is the Everest of what we do, that's a big hurdle no matter who comes next. But we were lucky to have a guy, Tim Van Patten, who just did the second one, who did the Sopranos as well, all of the great Sopranos episodes, the Emmy-winning ones. And we were both saying, when you come off of Marty, you're always wondering how the next one's going to be. And to us, we were pleasantly surprised. There was no drop-off to us. I thought it was exquisite, just gorgeous.
Yeah. Absolutely, it was brilliant. Well, tell me a little bit about what attracted each of you to your respective roles when you were. Did you audition for the part? Did you read? How did that process go? And what attracted you to Lucky and Eli?
Oh, well, I was really lucky, actually, not to be playing a pun or anything. But I was in between jobs, and I was working on an independent film in Baltimore. And I had this time on my hands, and I said, what do I want to work on just to keep my teeth sharp or whatever? And for some reason, the classic gangster genre just jumped out at me. So I was at a yard sale, and there was this book of children's stories from 1915. And I was like, this would be cool. Everyone's used to seeing a gangster so tough and, violent. And I said it would be fun to see one disciplining his child. So I made this tape, sent it to my agent, who thought I was an idiot. And she held on to it, and she said, oh, it's pretty good. I'll hold on and see if something comes out. And then, like 9 months later, the breakdown for Boardwalk Empire came out, and they sent it to Marty, and he was like, it's great. Yeah, I want to see him in it. We got to figure it out where he's going to be. So that was it.
So you kind of wrote your own fate on that one. Very
Luckily,
cool.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have anything else to say. It was very lucky.
I mean, for me, it was simple. The Sopranos is the best television ever. I was riveted by it. And I'd had a flirtation with Scorsese about 10 years ago when I was doing Tigerland. And I thought I had a project. I flew up and I met Mr. Scorsese, and I thought I was going to be one of the leads in his piece. We went out to dinner. I was the guy. And then, as luck would have it sometimes to us, I wasn't a big enough name. So Marty called me and said, kid, I got a problem, and I'm really sorry about this, but it's not going to work out. And I said, it's fine, man. The fact that we got to do dinner and the fact that we were hanging out, that's enough for me. And then this came back around, and I actually auditioned. Matter of fact, it's interesting. I auditioned for the guy running liquor at the top. I said, that would be pretty interesting, a guy who gets involved, a fisherman who gets involved, and I was doing it. And then all of a sudden, they were like, no, Marty wants to see you for Eli, and Tim and Terry, and I was like, okay.
Okay, whatever you want.
And Eli, it wasn't supposed to be, they didn't know what he was going to be at the top of the season, and it, fleshed out, as you'll see, it fleshes out quite nice.
Great.
Yeah.
So what was it like working with Scorsese for the first time? Do you have any first memories of being on set and what it was like for that first encounter?
I was so nervous that it was hard to feel my hands or anything. But it was great. There was kind of this energy that he brings into the set that it kind of disarms you. He just goes around and connects with every single actor, extras, crew, and he creates a safe place for you to work. And that was one of the things that struck me was he was such a regular guy. He would talk to you about film and ask you how your life is, and just, you know, such casual conversation. Then he's like, oh, great, we're ready to go. And then you're like, oh, all right, yeah, sure. But yeah, that was my first experience.
Yeah, I was petrified. I remember when I didn't talk to him for like 2 weeks at the start of the piece. You know, we did a month shoot, and all I could remember was Chris Farley. I don't know if you remember Saturday Night Live. He used to do this interviewer, and he would be like, and he would get, and he had Marty in his chair. I don't know if you remember this, and he would say, you know Robert De Niro, right? And you know, and he would just ask the stupidest, most mundane questions, and I felt like I was going to do the same thing if I even opened my mouth with the man. I mean, he's an encyclopedic knowledge, and he's as kind. He's like all the great ones that you get around. I feel, whether it's Anthony Hopkins or whether it's, you know, De Niro, whether it's any of these guys, I've been lucky. They're the kindest, you know, capable of extreme volatility. Marty is, and like all of them, but as kind as they can be in person. You know, and you see it up on screen. I mean, you ask yourself, you see that a lot of times with actors, and you go, either I like that person, or this man or woman, and I don't know what it is, or sometimes you'll say, I don't know what it is, and usually it's that quality, and they all have that quality of being kind, empathetic, and understanding, I think.
Very cool. Well, you obviously got to work with some really, really talented people on this, and exciting that you get to continue to do so into season 2. Actors usually have some sort of a list of people that they would love to work with. Who's on your list of future people?
Is anyone left for you, Shay? He's worked with everyone.
Yeah, there's tons of people. There's literally tons. This, though, man, I mean, we're sitting here. I don't mean to get too deep about it, but we're both sitting here. We haven't seen it. We're witnessing it as you're witnessing it, and. You know, it's pretty, to be a part of it, you almost watch certain things sometimes, and you go, wow, I would love to be a part of that. And I know when I watch this, I'm like, wow, I'd love to be, wait a minute, I am a part of that. You know, you catch yourself.
Yeah.
You know, it's that pure and good, entertaining. As the season goes, I won't even give it away, but it goes some places that it's crazy where, I mean,
the tension builds and builds, and really, I think next episode is when it really starts to climb, the conflict and everything.
Yeah, it ratchets up pretty good.
Yeah, I feel bad we didn't see the third one yet, but I just know the storyline, so it's such a tease.
So what's it like watching yourself on the big screen? I mean, I know some people are uncomfortable with it, some people are very critical. What's it like to see yourself?
I hate myself. No, it's a very critical process. You just trying not to watch it, but you get more comfortable over time, I think.
I constantly go, I should have made a different choice there. I mean, I think it's really hypercritical. You think it'd be enjoyable, but it's pretty nerve-wracking. I enjoy watching others. You know, I just go like this tonight when my stuff was up there, literally.
Well, we all think you guys are amazing, so you did a great job. Shay, as far as your extensive film and TV experience, you know, you've had a great career so far. What was it like working with HBO on this project?
I mean, it all begins and ends with them. And this was my first experience with them. I'm not, it's pretty amazing, the art. The suits don't ever come on the set. With Terry and Tim and Marty, they give total freedom as far as what you see up here. They're completely supportive in whatever these guys are. And Terry said the same. And I mean, Terry Winter, who is the genius behind this, says these guys, you have no idea how good they are, and they're for the product. I mean, you look at they're in the Renaissance. I mean, you look at True Blood, or you look at Eastbound that's starting. I mean, these things they're cutting edge, I feel. But this too, it holds its own, I think.
Absolutely. So here's a question for you, Vincent. There's a lot of aspiring actors in Atlanta. I don't know if you guys are aware, but more and more is being filmed in Atlanta and the state of Georgia. What tip would you give as far as looking back at your career and how you got started in the business, as far as how they take that next step?
I think the funny thing is, when I first told friends of mine that I was going to be an actor, they said, oh, so you don't want to work for a living? Like there's a stigma. Everyone just thinks that there's nothing to it. But the reality is you have to work, and you have to work hard. And it's lonely because, you know, at least in a sport, you can work out on a certain muscle or something. But I think the key advice is keep working, even if you're by yourself, whether it's a monologue, whether it's something that excites you, watching classic film. You need to keep feeding yourself and learning because, you know, as an actor, an artist, or whatever, you just need to keep growing. So a lot of people wait for something to come to them, but the reality is you have to make your own lunch. You have to go out and feed yourself because it's not going to come to you.
Right.
You got to go get it.
What age were you when you decided you wanted to be an actor? Because I know you were in college playing hockey, so you went from one extreme to another.
Yeah, I felt like I lived like 3 lives before I decided to be an actor. But I played hockey in college. I got injured, dropped out. Went into finance for a little while. I was like, yeah, Wall Street, maybe I'll do something there. And then after a few years of that, I was 24. And I was like, you know, I got to kind of do this.
Give it a shot.
Yeah, yeah. And I've spent the last almost 10 years, you know, working hard on it. So.
Very cool.
Thanks.
So speaking of sports, obviously, if you know much about the South, we are huge on college football here. And I don't want you to get in trouble on this because I'm sure we've got some Bulldogs and Tech fans in the house. But I hear there's a rivalry within your family when it comes to football. Tell us a little about that.
My father played quarterback at Florida State, so it was a pretty big deal. And then my little brother went to Florida.
So how does that happen? How does your dad play
everybody
football
here
at Florida
gets
State?
I mean, everybody here gets it. I guess it's like Alabama, Auburn, or Georgia.
Yeah, Florida State are huge rivalries.
Yeah, yeah.
So what did your dad have to say when your brother said, "I'm going to Florida"?
Yeah, it was a bit contentious, but yeah, I mean, it's good. It's all really good now.
Well, obviously, we know that there was over 7 million people that watched the first episode on Sunday night, and luckily, thankfully, HBO has already announced season 2. Where were you guys when you found out that you were getting to take another shot at this?
I think I was at a dinner, and someone was asking me about the first episode, and I checked my phone, and I said, oh, well, apparently there's a second season. So I was like, that's good, that's good.
Awesome.
And then I shuffled around a little bit and went to the men's room.
There
and
you go.
danced.
So do you guys know when you start shooting season 2? Yeah?
January 31st.
Okay, so what's going on between now and January? What are you working on?
I'm leaving actually tomorrow. I'm doing a film with Sean Penn and David Byrne and Frances McDormand, and I'm going to do something in Alaska because I always want to go to Alaska. So there's something else I'm going to. So yeah.
Very cool. And you?
Well, it's not Alaska.
No,
but I'm going to be working on a play in New York City called Science of Guilt, and that goes up at the Darryl Roth 2 Theater in Union Square, and it should be fun. I'm going to work on that from October through early December.
On behalf of HBO and Comcast, I want to thank all of you for being here tonight, and especially let's give Vincent and Shay another round of applause. Thank you guys so much for being here.
Thank you all for coming out.
Absolutely. Very exciting to see episode 1 and 2. We can't wait to see where the story goes, and wish you guys much success in both seasons and hopefully more to come.
So much.
Thank you.